You're listening to Do This First, a daily personal development podcast that focuses on science-backed, actionable steps towards your best year ever. Hi, I'm Sandy, your host. Today, we're continuing with our founder series by way of John Adams. John Adams was one of the founding fathers of the United States and our second president. He played a crucial role in shaping the nation's early history. His unique blend of intelligence, leadership, and dedication to his principles, especially the principles of democracy, made him a key figure in the formation of our new nation. Adams was born in 1735 in Massachusetts, and he was educated at Harvard University, where he excelled. His intelligence and intellectual curiosity set him apart from his peers and laid the foundation for his future successes. He was also Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army that defeated the British in the American Revolutionary War. John Adams, like all the founders so far in this series, exhibited areas of strength and weakness that shaped his public career and life. First, the character-building dichotomy has a contrast to the success that we'll highlight later. Generally speaking, historians view John Adams as a lifelong Federalist elitist. His loud and rather stubborn ways caused emotional distance from his fellow politicians. The political climate favored a more balanced representation of power in government, which Adams was opposed to. This contrasting view and direction proved to be fatal to his presidential tenure. John Adams felt that leaders were not made, but born, and such responsibilities should not be allowed to the populace. These sentiments echoed concerning the legislature especially, which he felt were compromised. Perhaps one of the biggest failures, though, of John Adams' career was the Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798. It was a series of 4 laws that were aimed at protecting the United States from threats both external and internally. These laws granted the government extensive powers to deport or imprison any non-citizen considered to be a threat or a national security risk, and also made it a crime to publish any fake, scandalous, or malicious writings against the government or its officials. While these laws were passed during a time of heightened tensions with France, they have been widely criticized for their infringement on the First Amendment rights of American citizens as well. One of the key takeaways from the Alien and Sedition Acts is the way in which they demonstrated how fragile free speech in times of crises really is. The passage of these laws represented a significant departure from the principles of liberty and freedom of expression that were enshrined in our Constitution and served as a stark reminder of the potential for government overreach in the name of national security. The Sedition Act in particular was used to target and silence political opponents of the Adams administration, leading to the arrest and prosecution of several prominent newspaper editors and politicians. Another important takeaway from the Alien and Sedition Acts is the way in which they sparked fierce debate and opposition within the United States. Many Americans saw these laws as a direct threat to their fundamental rights and liberties and took to the streets in protest against them. The acts also played a key role in the election of Thomas Jefferson as president in 1800, as Jefferson and his Democratic Republican allies positioned themselves as champions of freedom of speech in contrast to the Adams administration. These laws set a dangerous precedent for government censorship and suppression of dissent and raised troubling questions about the limits of executive power in times of crises. John Adams was only a one-term president and lacked many of the qualities that we would associate with a leader. And this is exactly why what he did very well provides an incredible inspirational contrast to his legacy. John Adams' leadership shaped his legacy and left an indelible footprint in American history. Firstly, John Adams was an expert negotiator. Adams' courage was so evident during the Revolutionary War when he served as a diplomat and negotiator in securing vital alliances with European powers such as France. Despite facing opposition and skepticism from some of his peers, Adams fearlessly pursued diplomatic relations with foreign nations to gain support for the American cause. His efforts were instrumental in securing critical military and financial assistance that ultimately helped secure American independence. One of the key ways Adams helped to avoid war with England was through his negotiation of the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which officially ended the Revolutionary War and recognized American independence. Number 2, his passion. John Adams was obstinately passionate about American freedom from England. During the Stamp Act upheaval that precipitated our revolt against the mother country, John Adams wrote newspaper stories advocating for taxation with representation. He was also very passionate about abolishing slavery. He is the only founder president to never have owned a slave. Here is a direct quote from President Adams. Although I have never sought popularity by any animated speeches or inflammatory publications against the slavery of the blacks, my opinion against it has always been known, and my practice has been so comfortable in my sentiment that I have always employed free men, both as domestics and laborers, and never in my life did I own a slave. Number 3, fairness. The Boston Massacre occurred on March 5, 1770, when British soldiers fired into a crowd of colonists, killing 5 people and injuring 7 others. John Adams played a key role in the aftermath of the Boston Massacre by defending the British soldiers in court, which no one else would do here in America. Despite his personal beliefs and political leanings, Adams believed in the importance of a fair trial and representation for all individuals, regardless of how he felt. Adams' defense strategy focused on proving that the soldiers acted in self-defense and were provoked by the unruly mob. This ultimately led to 6 of the soldiers being acquitted, while 2 were convicted of manslaughter. Adams' involvement in the Boston Massacre trials helped establish his reputation as a skilled lawyer and advocate for justice. It also showcased his commitment to upholding legal principles even in controversial cases. The Boston Massacre served as a turning point in colonial sentiment towards British rule, further fueling tensions that would eventually lead to the American Revolution. Number 4, transparency. Honesty was the hallmark of John Adams' leadership. He was unwilling to sacrifice his principles for the sake of politics or even to save face. His commitment to transparency and truthfulness set him apart from others like Thomas Jefferson, who was very secretive, especially in his private life. Adams believed that honesty was essential in building trust and credibility, and he consistently demonstrated this value in his actions and decisions as President of the United States. Lastly, number 5, the high road. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams' friendship was legendary. It endured for over 50 years. They became acquainted during a terrible time in Jefferson's life. He was the U.S. minister to France and Adams the U.S. British ambassador. Jefferson had lost his wife Martha, and Adams' family took it upon themselves to help Thomas during this difficult time. After several years, the relationship turned sour when John assumed the role of President of the United States by defeating Jefferson, who became his vice president. The rift was due to partisan differences. When John Adams ran for a second term, Jefferson initiated a smear campaign that ended with Thomas winning the election. John quietly tended to his estate in his home state and did not speak to Thomas for 12 years. But on New Year's in 1812, encouraged by a mutual friend, a co-signer of the Declaration of Independence, Benjamin Rush, John took the high road and reached out to his long-lost friends. For the last decade of their lives, they wrote an estimated 158 letters to each other. Their reconciliation is a testament to the power of forgiveness and the importance of putting aside personal grievances for the greater good. Despite their bitter feuds, Adams was able to take the higher road and recognize the value of their friendship and the impact that they had on shaping the future of America. The ability to move past their differences serves as a reminder that even in times of division, unity and understanding can prevail. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson died on the same day, merely hours apart on July 4th, 1826. If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to leave a review. Follow and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Do This First. You can also read a full transcript of this podcast episode and all 133 podcast episodes and counting on my blog, dothisfirst.life. You can also sign up for my new weekly newsletter, which will help you get your week started on a positive note, and I'll provide updates on coaching, books, merch, and my public speaking engagements as they become available. Tomorrow, we'll continue with our Founder Series with John Jay. Until then. Moving past the